All right, so we are going to go over a function health test result that I had a quick call with today. And my client Owen went and got his blood work done a few weeks ago and received all of his results back. And so I wanted to take you guys through what it looks like to see this on the Function Health page. If you're not familiar, Function Health has partnered with Quest Diagnostics to take blood lab work and provide you tons of information on it. So basically, my philosophy as a health and wellness coach is, are we going to look at the outside of the car, maybe just sit in the car, just kind of get a little feel for it? Or are we going to lift up the hood? We're going to start the engine. We're going to take it through a full check and look at everything to understand what's going on underneath the hood and how things are performing. And so you get an extensive amount of feedback. And what's great about Function Health, in my opinion, is the way they've taken all your results. They've made sense of it for a user so that you're not like in over your head, right? So you see all this data, you see all these things in range, you see out of range, you see things improving, which would come from your next visit to, to get your blood work drawn again. But then you have like your action plans. So there's clinician notes, which is pretty cool. And if you were to like open this up and take a look at it, it's going to give you a full breakdown. Okay. So, and then it goes down by category. So here's the overall summary, right? You would go through all of this, so for instance, it's going to bring up for Owen right away, hey, there's some significant amount of inflammation going on in your body that could be from a number of things. These are the areas that are showing higher in your said ranges versus other people. And then you have things like individualized, hey, autoimmunity is looking good, blood's looking good, electrolytes are looking good, environmental toxins are looking good. Okay, there's something going on with the heart. Boom. Here are the things that were shown out of range, right? And so we decided to go over these. We went over, hey, what does it look like? What does LDL cholesterol mean? Right? What does, the non-HDL cholesterol look like? What does it look like from a total cholesterol standpoint? So when you get triglycerides and everything else in that. And again, having this resource is incredible because to the average person, they're not going to know a lot of these things other than, hey, you have cholesterol problems. Well, what does that actually mean? How do we break that down? And so there's a breakdown there. And what's even more cool is, so for here, like the C-reactive protein, if you go, you can actually see, so he tested really high, which when you look at this, your cardiac health panel reveals several noteworthy findings that can provide insight into your risk for cardiovascular disease. So this is saying, hey, some of these things are abnormal, and these are why it leads to XYZ thing. In this case, cardiovascular disease. Now, this is where the more in tune, in depth breakdown is. So why does it matter? Why does your C-reactive protein being higher matter? And when you look at it, why does it matter? All right, well, this is what it says. So it talks about inflammation, what it's linked to, how these things can correlate. So from hypertension to things like Alzheimer's, maybe there's autoimmune issues going on that he doesn't even know about, and in this case, like we're just going through these things and it's more of an awareness and a confirmation. So, Owen was able to confirm a lot of things with me and how he's feeling, what he's, currently experiencing. And I think that leads to better conversation and to a game plan. So understanding why it matters and reading through that. And then you go, okay, well, here's where the optimal range is. And here's where you ended up lying. And that was back at the top here in this graph, which is super helpful. And I also love that we already have our next one scheduled out. And so it'd be cool to see, okay, was there a decrease and what was that due to? Like what did we add in, take out, start implementing more? And the causes down here can go into a number of things, but what I like is to say, okay, we know all these things, but is there an action plan? What is that action plan? And here it is. There's foods that you can eat. So here's a list of the foods you can eat. And if I'm to click the actual breakdown, which I'll go back and show you here shortly, it'll give you like your top 5 and then things overall that are great. And so, man, it's broken down by, hey, the non-starchy vegetables. It's broken down by probiotic things that you can eat. It's broken down by the nuts and seeds that are available that are good for you, the types of oils that are best, the type of meat you should have. And really, I mean, it's just an extensive list. Now it goes to foods that are limited. And this is what is also great, because a lot of times we're like, well, everyone tells me to eliminate carbs or eliminate dairy. And what I would argue is, like, how about some of the more specifics and understanding where your food is coming from? So instead of white rice, maybe you have organic jasmine or basmati rice and you have that in moderation. Is your pasta ultra processed? Is it, bleach enriched flour? Those kinds of things. That's gonna be an issue, right? Corn, natural inflammatory. Obviously comes in the form of alcohol too, right? If you like whiskey, that's a big one. Any type of grain that makes whiskey, it's going to lead to inflammation. If you have inflammation issues, that's something you should cut out, right? Seed oils, that's a big one. Everyone's on that train. And if you understand what it is about seed oils and the omega-6 and the things that get activated from heating that type of omega fat and what the toxins that are released and how that inflames your body, understanding those things matter. So I say all that because it gives us a game plan. It gives us an idea. And that's the conversation I had with Owen. Hey, man, here's things that I would just recommend. We don't have to do them all, but let's start with these following things. And it was a list of supplements that will help combat some of the issues you're having with LDL issues, to your inflammation issues, to some of the, I think it was things that are around like autoimmune. And I think the last one, the big one was around his low HDL and what that looks like. And all of those require different things. So supplement wise, we looked at some of these supplements and we got a supplement stack together with Thorne, who I'm partnered with as well. And they do an incredible job of providing great products. And we're able to get them at a discount for all of my clients through my partnership with them, just like I have with Function Health, which is awesome. So we dose that out, and then we confirm some of the symptoms that he might be having or that he's feeling and working through that. And then some of the self-care items that we're going to have to do, right? So is there unhealthy weight, which there's some of the stuff that we want to get rid of. We've talked about that. And then action items. So like, what kind of activity can we do? And different things require different ranges here, and things that were coming up on his biomarkers require different responses. So for instance, if we go to HDL, okay, his 148, we want to be below 130, and it's in range. So what does that look like? The non-HDL cholesterol, and how do we go about that? All right, so here's the range, here's the food to eat, here's the supplements, right? What's the self-care look like? As we scroll down, so we optimize diet, we track changes. We're going to increase our exercise. We want to focus on aerobic conditioning. We're looking at 30 to 45 minutes, roughly 5 to 6 times a week is the recommendation there, right? Hey, how can we manage some of our stress load? Well, breath work, meditation, yoga, other mindfulness practices, just great things to add in. Let's go back again. So let's look at actual HDL. So your actual HDL, and this is below his range, but not far off, but still below. So what are some basic things we can do? Go down to self-care. All right. We can look at a lower glycemic, high fiber, and good fat diet. All right. We can add in, again, aerobic cardio work. We can add in strength training. Both of these things Owen is doing. It's amazing when you look at that. Now, here's one of the things we talk about. Owen's a high-performing guy. He lives in Connecticut. He works in the city, New York City. He entertains clients. He has a great social life with his wife and his family. And so they enjoy drinking alcohol. And I'm not going to let him feel bad about that, but we are going to be mindful. And so the conversation was, hey, let's try for 30 days to have a specific plan of action with drinking alcohol. What does that look like? What do you feel that you could commit to? Because it's great to say one thing that you think would be good, and I don't want you to answer the way that you think I should, or like you. I don't want you to respond or give me an answer that's what you think I want to hear. I want you to tell me realistically what it is that you can commit to. And if you can do that, then we have a good game plan. And I think that that's where a lot of people mess up is, oh, what should I do or ought to do versus like, what can I actually commit to and see what happens? And so, man, I told him, let's look at just the next 30 days. Let's look at how many days a week you think you could cut down on alcoholic drinks when you're out entertaining. If that's just, having a glass of wine with your meal versus having happy hour into a full sit down dinner, and what that damage ends up looking like then. Or when I come home from a long day work, is my first move to go to the fridge and crack open a beer or to pour a whiskey. And is that necessary? Could I fill that with something else? My goal is to do it with seltzers. So whether it's a, sparkling seltzer that's flavored, or maybe just like a, Pellegrino or something like that with fresh lime or lemon, some type of citrus in it that fulfills that carbonated and like just refreshing drink. And he was very open to that. That to him sounded great. That sounded in line with what he can do. It sounded that with his results, if this is something that could prevent long-term damage, like, well, let's give it a shot. And so that's what we're doing. And I love having these conversations because it really just is about where you are, where you want to get to, what you can currently commit to given the demands of your life, the schedule you have, the commitments you have, responsibilities and whatnot. So between diet and adding some things in, taking some things out, consistently being intentional about the training that we're doing, meaning he's not just showing up and working out, he's actually training with a plan in mind. His training plan is to lose body fat percentage, to drop his body fat percentage. His training plan is around building muscle and gaining muscular definition. His training plan is now around also increasing his aerobic capacity and an amount of time over the course of a week where he can get so much cardio done that's going to affect his overall health from these blood work panels that came back. And so we have a system, and we just keep making the system work and work and work to what you need. And as we add more, we'll continue to adjust the system. And when it's not working well, we'll assess it, we'll look at it, we'll dial it back in, and we'll keep moving forward. But a lot of times people just train aimlessly, and we call that working out. You're just going to get a workout in. What we want is to have you training in a way that makes sense, that is pushing these boundaries and helping you stay in good biomarker phases of your blood work and what your body is telling you is going on. So yeah, there are a ton of things to go through. I mean, we were even able to look at things like, hey, what's his iron saturation, which is different than just iron, right? His iron is in range, but his iron saturation isn't. What is that? Why does that matter? What is that? So the percent saturation is calculated by dividing the iron by the total iron binding, right? Which gives the amount of saturated transferring. So a low percent saturation indicates that there's an iron deficiency, while a high percent saturation is usually associated with iron storage disease. So which one is it? We're looking at that. He's a little low, really not too far off, but he's slightly low. Okay. So that summary is here. Here's some of the causes that can lead to that. Okay. And then we look at what we can do to increase it. And what's great is there's some overlap here that also will help with his inflammation within his body. So again, all of this is interconnected, which is beautiful. And then up here from the user platform, these were the top 5 foods. So right here, this was our goal when we talked. Hey, what of these can you eat? A lot of this can be in like your spring, summer mix salads, right? Getting intentional with broccoli. Dude, go get yourself, a grass-fed steak. That's great. And add some broccoli in there, man. And then eat it with a salad. Gosh, you're going to hit all the things that you want. And then it's got a list A to Z of all the different things that are also great, as well as supplements at the bottom. So here's the supplements. These were the top 5 recommended supplements that we went and we got dialed in for him in a stack with Thorn. Here's other supplements that will also be helpful if you wanted to look into anything else, depending on what other maybe blood work came back. and maybe we could double dip and stack there as well. Now, limiting, here's the ones that we want to limit. No surprise, seed oils at the top. And so I talked to him about making good choices. Even if you think you're going to a good restaurant or a healthier restaurant, ask them, hey, what do you cook with? What kind of oil? And if they say these types of oils, vegetable oil, etc., like just don't order anything that's going to use that. Find something else that isn't going to use that and choose that. And that over time leads to less inflammation and a healthier lifestyle. Same thing, right? Obviously A right there, but alcohol, big one. Again, showing up. And then there's countless other things. A lot of these things you guys are probably familiar with, but yeah, this is a good rundown of what our system, the Coach Atallah system, looks like when we are taking extra precautionary action with our health. Owen wanted to know what was going on underneath the hood. He went and got his blood work done, came back. Our conversation was upbeat. It was positive. It was not negative. It was around our course of action. It was around understanding our body. It was around understanding things around the connection points for why he's feeling what he's feeling and what he's going to do about it. And so I just want to encourage everyone that regardless if you work with me or not, getting your blood work done matters. And I was the antithesis of blood work. I did not want to go to the doctor. I did not want to get checkups. I didn't want to do any of that. But after starting to build rapport with my doctor, my primary care physician, I decided to get my blood work done. I cannot stand needles. I don't like that, but I did it. And I was like, wow, there's so much that was revealing. And that was only that was between 13 and 19 basic blood panel tests. And I'm like, why, with all the technology today, are we only looking at 13 to 19 things when we could have over 100 things? And that's the base level for function. You can add in all these extra tests as well and do these other biomarker readings within this platform. But what I didn't understand was, why is it only 13 to 19? There's 100 more available things that we can look at. And so this has been a no-brainer for my clients, for myself, to go and do. And we are going to take action with our health. We are going to look at our health and wellness and how we can optimize it more and more. And this is doing that. Don't be ashamed to go to your primary care physician, get the base level stuff done, take further action, go in depth, understand what's happening in your body. And so you can now make better decisions. It's going to optimize the longevity of your life, optimize the overall performance of your health day to day so that you can be at your best and show up for the things that matter most. The end. Ring the bell, baby. Here's to your health. Peace.